In 1974, the President of the United States got down on his knees in front of Muhammad Ali and begged, literally begged, for help saving his presidency. What Ali said in response not only shocked the president, it defined what true dignity looks like when everything is falling apart. The encounter was kept classified for 45 years. When it finally came to light in 2019 through a Secret Service agent's deathbed confession, it revealed a side of both men that history had never seen. And it showed that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone isn't to save them. It's to tell them to stand up. This isn't just another political scandal story. This is about the moment when the most powerful man in the world discovered that real strength comes not from the office you hold, but from the character you choose to show when that office is stripped away. Let's set the scene. August 1974. The Watergate scandal had completely destroyed Richard Nixon's presidency. The smoking gun tape had been released. The evidence was undeniable. Nixon's approval rating had collapsed to 24%, the lowest in presidential history. Impeachment wasn't just possible anymore, it was inevitable. Nixon was desperate. Not just politically desperate, personally desperate. He'd spent his entire life clawing his way to power, fighting every step, surviving every scandal, only to watch it all collapse in spectacular fashion. He couldn't sleep. According to Henry Kissinger's later memoirs, Nixon was drinking heavily and was barely functional in those final days. His own Republican Party was abandoning him. Conservative newspapers were calling for his resignation. He had maybe days, maybe a week left in office before he'd be forced to resign in disgrace or face the humiliation of impeachment. And in that desperation, Nixon's advisors came up with a Hail Mary plan that seemed impossible: get Muhammad Ali to support the president publicly. The logic was actually brilliant. Ali was beloved by Black America and respected by young people who had opposed the Vietnam War. He was the man who had stood up to the government, refused the draft, been stripped of his title, and emerged more popular than ever. If Ali, who had every reason to hate the establishment, could forgive Nixon, maybe America could too. One photo of Ali standing with Nixon. One statement of support. One moment showing that even someone who had been persecuted by the government could find it in his heart to help the president in his darkest hour. It could be worth millions of votes, could shift public opinion, could maybe, just maybe, save Nixon from impeachment. They contacted Ali's representatives. They offered money, a lot of money. They offered a presidential pardon for Ali's draft conviction, though the Supreme Court had already overturned it. They offered access, influence, whatever Ali wanted. Ali's response was simple: I'll meet with the president, but I'm not promising anything. The meeting was arranged for August 6, 1974, at Nixon's Western White House in San Clemente, California. It was kept completely off the books. No press, no official record, no White House staff. Just Nixon, Ali, and a single Secret Service agent named James Kirkwood stationed outside the room. Ali arrived not knowing exactly what Nixon wanted, but suspicious it was about a photo opportunity. He'd been used by politicians before. He wasn't naive about how these things worked. Nixon was waiting in his private study when Ali entered. According to Kirkwood's detailed 2019 deathbed statement, recorded by his daughter and later published with permission from Ali's family, Nixon looked terrible. Unshaven, eyes red and bloodshot, clearly hadn't slept in days. The weight of the scandal had physically transformed him. They shook hands. Nixon tried to smile, tried to summon the charming politician persona that had carried him through decades of campaigns. Muhammad, thank you for coming. You look great. You training for another fight? Ali was polite but cool. Mr. President, what do you want? Nixon's smile faded. He realized immediately that he couldn't charm his way through this conversation, so he tried a different approach: direct appeal. I need your help. Nixon said, the country needs your help. We're tearing ourselves apart. Watergate has divided us. I made mistakes, I know that. But the constant attacks, the impeachment process, it's destroying the presidency itself, not just me. I need someone who can bridge the divide, someone both sides respect, someone like you. Ali listened without expression, letting Nixon make his pitch. Nixon continued, desperation creeping into his voice. One photograph. You and me shaking hands. A statement from you saying it's time to move forward, to heal as a nation. That's all I'm asking for. It could change everything. Ali's response was simple and devastating. Why would I do that? Nixon started listing reasons like a salesman making his final pitch. He could help Ali with business deals. He could make sure Ali got favorable treatment in any future legal issues. He could arrange meetings with foreign leaders to help Ali secure international fights. Money, access, power, everything was on the table. Ali just kept shaking his head. "That's not what I asked," Ali said calmly. "I asked why. Why would I help you?" Nixon's political mask was starting to crack. The desperation was showing through. "Because I'm asking you to. Because I need it. Because without help, I'm finished." "You are finished," Ali said quietly. "Everybody knows it. The question is whether you finish with some dignity or finish with none." That's when Nixon broke. According to Kirkwood's account, Nixon's voice rose, taking on an edge of hysteria. "You don't understand. I've given my entire life to this country. I've served in Congress, the Senate, as vice president, as president, and they want to destroy me over what? Some tapes, some lies. I didn't start lying in politics, I just got caught." Ali didn't argue. He just said quietly, "Mr. President, I think you should sit down." But Nixon wasn't listening. He was pacing now, spiraling into desperation. "I made this country stronger. I opened China. I ended the Vietnam War. I did things that will matter for decades. And they want to erase all of that because I tried to protect my presidency. Because I fought back against my enemies." "Or Mr. President," Ali tried to interrupt. "Do you know what they're going to do to me?" Nixon's voice was getting louder, more frantic. "They're going to put me in jail. The President of the United States in jail. They're going to destroy my family, my legacy, everything I've worked for my entire life. And you could stop it." One photo, one statement. That's all I need. Ali stood up slowly. "I'm not going to help you." Nixon stopped pacing and stared at Ali. "Why? Why won't you help me?" "Because it won't work." Ali said simply. "A photo with me isn't going to save you. Nothing's going to save you from what you did. You broke the law. You lied to the country. No photo is going to fix that." And that's when Nixon did something that shocked even Ali. A man who thought he'd seen everything. The President of the United States dropped to his knees. Richard Nixon, the most powerful man in the world, on his knees in front of Muhammad Ali, tears streaming down his face. "Please," Nixon begged, his voice breaking. "Please, I'm begging you. One photo, one statement. You're my last chance. I've got nothing left. Please." According to Kirkwood, who could hear everything through the door, there was complete silence for what felt like forever. Then Ali spoke, and his voice had changed, softer but absolutely firm. "Mr. President, stand up." Nixon didn't move. He was crying too hard, too lost in his desperation to hear. "Mr. President," Ali said again, louder this time. "Stand up right now." Nixon slowly struggled to his feet, wiping his face with his hands like a child. Ali walked closer to him, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had faced his own destruction and survived it. "Mr. President, I can't save a man who won't save himself. And you kneeling on the floor, begging me for a photo that won't work anyway, that's beneath you. That's beneath the office you hold. Stand up." Nixon was standing now, but barely stable. Ali continued, his voice carrying the wisdom of someone who had lost everything and learned what really mattered. "I know what it's like to lose everything. They stripped me of my title. They took away my ability to make a living. They tried to put me in jail for standing up for what I believed in. I lost 3 years of my career, 3 years I can never get back. And you know what I learned?" Nixon just stared at him, transfixed. "I learned that how you lose matters more than whether you lose," Ali said. "You're going to lose this presidency. That's done. The question is, are you going to lose it begging on your knees, trying to trick people with photos and fake endorsements? Or are you going to lose it standing up, admitting what you did, taking responsibility like a man?" "I can't," Nixon said, his voice breaking again. "If I admit it, they'll destroy me. They're already destroying you," Ali replied. "The only question is whether you help them do it, or whether you take control of it yourself. Stand up, Mr. President. Face what's coming. Don't beg. Don't hide. Don't lie anymore. Just stand up and take it like a man." Nixon collapsed into his chair, head in his hands. I can't do it." Ali picked up his coat. "Then I can't help you. Not because I don't want to, but because the kind of help you're asking for, the photo, the endorsement, that's not help. That's enabling. That's me helping you run away from what you did. And I won't do that." Nixon looked up with red, desperate eyes. "So what am I supposed to do? Resign?" Ali said without hesitation. "Resign before they impeach you. Resign and admit you made mistakes. Don't try to justify it. Don't try to minimize it. Just admit it and accept the consequences. That's the only way you get any dignity back. And if I do that, Nixon asked, what happens then? Then you get to be a human being again, instead of a president trying to save his presidency, Ali said. You get to work on being a better person instead of working on your image. You get to face yourself in the mirror without wondering who you're lying to today. Nixon was quiet for a long moment, processing this advice from the most unlikely counselor imaginable. Why do you care? Why are you telling me this? Ali was putting on his coat, preparing to leave. Because even though you're the president and I'm just a boxer, we're both human beings. And human beings deserve to be told the truth, especially when they're falling. The truth is you're done, Mr. President. How you finish is up to you. Ali walked to the door. Nixon called after him desperately. Mohammed, wait. If I do what you're saying, if I resign, if I admit it, will you say something publicly about doing the right thing? Ali paused and thought about it. If you do the right thing, I'll acknowledge it. But I'm not going to endorse you. I'm not going to pretend what you did was okay. I'll just say that you faced it instead of running from it. That's the most I can offer. Nixon nodded slowly. That's more than I deserve. Yeah. Ali agreed. Ali left. According to Kirkwood, Nixon sat in that study alone for 3 hours after Ali departed. Didn't come out, didn't eat, just sat there processing what had happened. 2 days later, on August 8, 1974, Richard Nixon resigned the presidency. He gave a speech admitting mistakes, taking responsibility, asking for forgiveness. It wasn't perfect, he still hedged, still tried to justify some of his actions, but it was more honest than anyone expected. The next day, a reporter asked Ali if he'd seen Nixon's resignation speech. I did, Ali said. He stood up. Not all the way, but more than he was standing before. That's something. The reporter asked if Ali had talked to Nixon recently. Ali just said, the president and I had a conversation. That's between him and me. The story stayed secret for 45 years. Kirkwood kept it classified even when he retired from the Secret Service in 1989. Some things, he said later, are too private to share while the people involved are still alive. But in early 2019, Kirkwood was dying of cancer. He was 78 years old, and he told his daughter about the meeting. She recorded his account, and after he died in March 2019, she published it with permission from Ali's family. Ali had died in 2016. The revelation shocked historians and political scientists. The image of Nixon on his knees begging Ali for help seemed almost unbelievable, but Kirkwood's account was detailed, consistent, and he had no reason to lie on his deathbed. Then Nixon's personal diary from August 1974 was re-examined. There was an entry from August 6 that confirmed everything. Met with Ali. He showed me more dignity in my lowest moment than I showed my country in my highest. He told me to stand up. I wish I'd listened sooner. The meeting between Ali and Nixon reveals something profound about both men and about human nature itself. Nixon, at his absolute lowest point, couldn't see past saving his image. He was willing to beg, to manipulate, to use anyone to avoid facing the truth about what he'd done. Ali, who had been persecuted by the very government Nixon represented, could have enjoyed watching Nixon suffer. He could have humiliated him. He could have taken whatever Nixon offered and then refused to help anyway. Instead, Ali told Nixon to stand up. Not because he owed Nixon anything, not because he wanted to help Nixon politically, but because watching any man, even the president, debase himself by begging was too painful to witness. That lesson, stand up, take responsibility, face what's coming, was more valuable than any photo opportunity could ever be. The story reminds us that true dignity isn't about never falling down, it's about how you choose to get back up. And sometimes, the greatest gift you can give someone isn't to save them from their consequences, but to remind them that they still have the power to face those consequences with honor. Nixon begged on his knees. Ali told him to stand up. That's the difference between desperation and dignity, between manipulation and integrity, between running from the truth and facing it. It's a lesson that matters whether you're the President of the United States or just someone trying to get through another day. When everything's falling apart, the only thing you truly control is whether you face it standing up or on your knees. Stand up.